Hi, hello friendos. Happy Sunday. My video literally just went up 40 minutes ago, and I had makeup on because I just got back from church, and I figured might as well record another video since I'm ready, and since the rest of this week is gonna be really stressful for me, so I probably won't have time. Air conditioning just came on and the dishwasher's on, so if there's weird white noise in the background, that's why. I don't really have a subject. I'm kind of just gonna let the muse take me. So for some reason my voice is like not ready to hang, so don't know what that's about, but we're gonna roll with it. I'm putting my coffee down, that's why I'm so abnormally close. Also, I'm gonna try really hard to stop looking so much in the viewfinder. I might literally turn it. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna, because I should be looking at you guys, not myself. That's pretty conceited of me. So today at church, first of all, I went to like the earliest service that they have, and I've never been to that one before, but I like it the best, I think, for sure. I'm gonna try to go to that one every time now, because I have like stuff to do in the afternoon, so I was like, I gotta get up and go. And we talked about peace. It was really good. It was just like, he was talking about, because there's a lot of really negative things that have been going on in the news lately. He was talking about how, like, even despite all of that, like, Christ brings peace, and it's a peace that, like, some people may not understand, and you can't have peace unless you let it in. And that just, like, super resonated with me because I've been really stressed lately. I came from, like, a place of, like, immense joy, like, at the beginning of last week, and then this week it's a little bit more like, reality though. So it's just a good message that I wanted to like pass on to you guys to like go into your week with like peace. And that was another thing that he said. He was like, share it with everybody you know, and I'm like, okay, watch. This week I have a test, and then I have my rough draft for one of my stories due, and my story is about social anxiety, and it's weird to write about it, I feel like, and I haven't really solidified like exactly what I'm trying to do, like what my main idea is with this, but I really just kind of want to bring attention to the fact that like a lot of kids in college deal with anxiety, and having anxiety makes everything that you do like 10 times more difficult, because it's like, you know that there are all of these things that you have to do, and they're weighing on you like all week, and you're like, if I would just do one of them, like I'd feel better. But like the fear that you have like going into that activity is so overwhelming that you're like, I can't do it, even though I know doing it would make me feel better. I can't do it. And it's really hard for people who don't have anxiety to understand, but people who do have anxiety are like, yes, I get it, I get you. Because a lot of people, if you don't have anxiety, you'd be like, oh, I'm like really stressed about this thing, and they're like, well, why don't you tackle that thing? And I'm like, why don't I? Good question. You're a genius. Wish I could. And like, I don't begrudge anyone. Like, it's hard to understand something if you've never experienced it. But I just want to kind of talk about like my experience with that and like how it affects me. And part of the thing is I do that, right? I try to talk about it with people. But it's one thing talking about it with people you're close with, and it's another thing to like turn on a video camera and talk about it, or like write a whole article about it. And it's weird because it's uniquely personal for everyone, and writing a like journalistic style article is gonna have to require like a lot of fact finding. And that's all fine and good, but I want to write this article in a way that people empathize with the experience, and I'm trying to figure out a way to do that without putting myself in the story, because like I, as a reporter, my job is not really to be in the story, it's to tell the story. And I don't really know how I'm gonna do that yet, but hopefully I find out by Wednesday, because it's due then. And actually, you know what, when this video goes up, like it'll be over and I'll be hopefully way more relaxed than I am currently. But I don't know, I wanted to basically talk to myself about what I'm trying to do here, and like also at the same time like kind of tell my story. So here's that story. I grew up very shy, very introverted, very worried. I was a worried child. I wouldn't say I was anxious. I don't really think my like anxiety hit until late high school, definitely college. Because I think really in high school it was mainly just stress. It was never like, I can't get out of bed because I'm so anxious. And that's definitely happened to me in college. But I've always been like a very nervous child. Like I've always been worried about things that I like definitely shouldn't worry about, like being that young. And everybody worries, like everyone has anxiety. A lot of people don't have like general anxiety or social anxiety. I got both. Honestly, like I've gotten 2 texts from today, sorry, digression. I've gotten 2 texts today, people being like, you uploaded to YouTube, and I'm like, thank you guys for like noticing. Yeah, so yeah, I was always a worried child. I was very stressed in high school because I think everyone can relate to this whole thing where like you're very smart when you're a little kid, like you make straight A's because it's easy to make straight A's. All you have to do is add and spell. And then that like culture like continues into high school and college, and it's way harder. It's a lot easier to make an A when you're doing long division than when you're doing differentials, you know? So I don't know, I think like there's a lot of pressure on like just our generation, like millennials and Generation Z, to live up to these like expectations that people put on us like when we were very, very young. And that kind of culture continues, and I really think that it's different than any other generation, and older generations will be like, no, nothing's the same, you guys are just freaked out or something, but like really I do think it's quite different. And I think that that's kind of accumulated into like a lot of kids who have anxiety and depression, and I'm not saying like, oh, our whole generation is depressed or anything like that, but it's a combination of we're living up to this like expectation. We have technology now that impacts us. My pastor today was talking about how like we're inundated with like information and like screens, and we just constantly have it. Like back when our parents were kids, TVs cut off at a certain time. Like there were no more programs like after like 10-11 p.m. at night, right? And now it's like you can just keep watching everything always. There is no end. Like you can watch one channel, you can watch 80 million channels, you can binge watch stuff on Netflix or Hulu or whatever. And I really do think that like as much as I love technology and stuff like that, that totally plays into it. Like you can't pretend like it doesn't. And then also the thing that we see like a rise in mental illness is because people feel okay to talk about it. And this is really what I want to like bring home to like the masses, is we came from this period of time where if you were going through something, you didn't talk about it. Like it was taboo to be like, I'm depressed, or I'm anxious, or I'm bipolar, or I'm insert anything here, you know, like people just didn't say it. They were just like, this is my struggle, my burden to bear. Like, I don't need to talk about it. Nobody needs to know. I don't need to get help for it. I'm just going to figure it out myself. And now what I'm really happy to see, and we still have a long way to go, don't get me wrong, people are talking about it, and that's going to make it seem like it's more prevalent. You also have the internet, which makes it seem like more prevalent because people are talking about it in a certain sphere, right? So it's like, if you look at the statistics, you know, it's not like everyone is anxious or everyone is depressed. It's not like 100% of the population is or anything like that. But you have these groups of people who are speaking up about it, and it makes it seem A, like it's more prevalent, and B, that they finally feel okay, goodness gracious, to talk about it. And that's something to celebrate, not something to condemn. And you know, like I'm trying to do my little small part. I want to talk about it. I want to make sure people know about this phenomena that adds to it. And I am just one person, and it's hard to get all of this down on a piece of paper, which is why I think I'm like so hesitant to like start this article and like dive into this huge heavy topic. And it's hard to get people to open up as much as people want to. It's very personal to talk about something that you're experiencing and something that you're struggling with. And it's a hard conversation to start. It's hard to be like, hey, do you struggle with mental illness? Do you want to talk to me about it? Like, for one, yeah, like one-on-one, that's fine. But for me to also like record them and write them down and like all of that kind of stuff, it's intimidating for some people. So and I'm anxious too. So like it makes me nervous to ask people. But I do think that it's a cause worth talking about, and a cause worth exploring and delving into, and I think that like I said in my last video, like the more you share your story, the more people feel okay about sharing theirs. And of course, like in doing that, like there's so much, I don't know the right word for it, there's so much peace that comes with like finally opening up and finally like having someone either just listen or be like, I know what you're going through. I've been there, I feel you, I know what it's like to experience that. And then it's less scary to do it the next time. You know, the first time that you're like, hey, I have this thing, let me tell you about it. That's so incredibly hard, and it's so incredibly brave to be able to do that. But it makes the next time that you talk to another person like that much easier, because like you know that like this happened and you did it and you said it and you accomplished it, and that's nothing to ever look down on. So I don't know, this is kind of like, I mean, I already talk about it with my best friends and my parents and my sister and my therapist, and I've tried to talk about it a little bit on my YouTube channel, but you know, this article is kind of like the culmination of that. It's kind of like, this is my last article that I'm going to be writing while I'm in college. It's going to be my last sort of, I've come along this journey of my college career of struggling and not knowing how to be a person and deal with this thing that I have to deal with, that I don't know, that I carry with me, you know, like wherever I go, like it's not gonna go away. There's a lot of relief in it, and there's a lot of ways to overcome and ways to move past, but it's always gonna affect my life. And it's just learning how to cope with that throughout my college journey that's kind of led me here and led me to writing this thing that's kind of like neat and tidy bow. Hey, everybody struggles with this thing, pay attention to it because it's important. And if I could just get this whole YouTube video on paper and have a couple other people talk about their experience, that would be great. But yeah, so I mentioned in my last video that I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about this, and like if you guys have questions in the comments that you want to ask me about like my personal journey, or like you want to talk about yours, like please feel free to reach out to me and like reach out to like your community. But talk about it. It's so important to talk about it so people know that it's happening and that it's going on, and that there is freedom in figuring out your path and how you can deal with it. And it's such an individualized experience, but you're not alone. Like you know what you're going through, but you're not the only one going through what you're going through. So yeah, that was a lot of a lot of emotions that I just poured out, but that's just kind of where I'm at, and I wanted to talk about it. So yeah, feel free to reach out. You guys are awesome. I love you. You are so loved. And thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!